The stars died in silence. Captain Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Meridian Dawn, watching the emergency broadcast with cold sweat running down his back. The holographic display showed a planet being consumed. Not destroyed by weapons or torn apart by gravity. Consumed, eaten. A massive creature, larger than any moon Hyun-woo had ever seen, wrapped itself around Thesara Prime and drained the world of all matter. In 20 hours, a thriving planet of 8 billion souls became nothing but dust scattered in space. "Captain, we're receiving orders from the Galactic Council," J1 said from the communications station. His voice was steady, but his hands shook as he transferred the data to Hyun-woo's screen. Hyun-woo read the orders twice. They didn't make sense the first time. The Council wanted every available ship to gather near the Andros sector. Every single vessel with weapons, shields, or engines capable of faster-than-light travel. This wasn't a request. This was survival. "Get everyone to the bridge," Hyun-woo said quietly. Now, within minutes, his crew assembled. 20 humans, all veterans of deep space exploration. They had mapped unknown systems, made first contact with new species, and survived dangers that would have killed less experienced crews. But nothing prepared them for this. Sujin, the chief engineer, arrived still covered in grease from the engine room. Da-eun, their xenobiologist, clutched her datapad with white knuckles. Taeyang, who handled weapons systems, looked grim. They all knew something terrible had happened. "Show them the footage," Hyun-woo ordered. The bridge lights dimmed. The holographic display expanded, filling the room with images from Thesara Prime's last moments. The creature appeared first as a shadow against the stars, then grew larger as it approached the planet. It had no clear shape. Sometimes it looked solid. Other times it seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Colors that shouldn't exist rippled across its surface. When it reached Thesara Prime, the creature spread across the planet like a living blanket. The world's oceans boiled away first. Mountains crumbled into powder. Cities, forests, deserts, all compressed and absorbed. The creature pulsed with each feeding, growing slightly larger, slightly more real. "What are we looking at?" Sujin whispered. "The council calls it the Devourer," Hyun-woo said. "Ancient texts from a dozen species mention it. Most thought it was a myth, a story to scare children. But it's real, and it's awake." Da-eun stepped closer to the display, her scientist's mind already analyzing. "How old is it?" "No one knows. Millions of years at least. Maybe older than some of the species in the council. It sleeps for thousands of years, then wakes up hungry. Can we kill it?" Taeyang asked the question. Everyone was thinking. The council has been trying. Every weapon they have. Nothing works. It doesn't even seem to notice when ships attack it. The crew absorbed this information in silence. Humans were still relatively new to the Galactic Council. Only 200 years had passed since humanity developed faster-than-light travel and discovered they weren't alone in the universe. Some alien species had thousands of years of advanced technology. If they couldn't stop this creature, what chance did humans have? "How long until we reach the Andros sector?" Hyun-woo asked. 18 hours at maximum speed, Sujin answered. "I can push the engines harder, but we'll burn through fuel reserves." "Do it. Whatever this thing is, we need to be there." The Meridian Dawn jumped to faster than light speed, joining thousands of other ships racing toward what might be the last battle for galactic civilization. 18 hours later, they dropped out of hyperspace and entered Hell. Ships filled the void around them. Thousands upon thousands of vessels from hundreds of different species. Sleek Vrelian cruisers hung alongside bulky Morthian battleships. The crystalline vessels of the Ithax floated next to the organic bioships of the Quellan. Every military force in the galaxy had gathered here, and they were all terrified. Hyun-woo guided the Meridian Dawn to its assigned position in the human fleet's sector. 50 human vessels, small compared to the massive armadas of older species, but every captain ready to fight. "Captain, you're summoned to the command briefing," J1 announced. "Commander Vethros Wants all ship captains present. Hyunwoo transported to the Council's command station, a massive structure that served as the fleet's coordination center. The briefing room was packed with captains and commanders representing every species in the galaxy. Vethros, a being made entirely of living crystal, stood at the center. The Devourer was last detected 3 light-years from here. Vethros began without greeting or ceremony. It's moving toward the Traxxas system. 7 inhabited planets. 14 billion lives. We will stop it here. A hologram showed the creature's projected path. Vethros outlined the battle plan. 3 waves of attack. First, long-range weapons to test its defenses. Second, close assault with heavy firepower. Third, experimental weapons that the Council had been developing in secret. Hyunwoo raised his hand. As a human captain, he knew he ranked low in the hierarchy. But he spoke anyway. Commander, has anyone tried communicating with it? The room went quiet. Several alien captains turned to stare at him. One, a Vrelian with purple scales, made a sound that Hyunwoo's translator interpreted as contemptuous laughter. It's a cosmic predator, Vethros said, his crystal body chiming with each word. It doesn't communicate. It doesn't negotiate. It feeds and moves on. We've tried every form of contact. It ignores everything. But have we studied its behavior? Hyunwoo pressed. Tried to understand why it feeds? What it needs? We need it dead, the Vrelian captain snapped. Not analyzed. Vethros held up a crystalline hand. The human makes an interesting point, but we don't have time for study. The creature will reach Traxxas in 40 hours. We fight now, or billions die. The briefing ended. Captains returned to their ships. Hyunwoo felt frustrated. Humanity had learned long ago that understanding an opponent was better than just fighting, but the Council had thousands of years of military experience. Who was he to question their strategy? Back on the Meridian Dawn, Hyunwoo gathered his crew. Battle stations. Link our weapons to the fleet network. We follow the Council's plan. The fleet moved into formation. The Devourer appeared on their sensors, right on schedule. It emerged from hyperspace like a nightmare made solid. Up close, it was even more terrifying. The creature stretched across space, its body shifting and changing. Sometimes it had tentacles. Sometimes it looked almost like a whale. Sometimes it was just a mass of hungry darkness. All ships, first wave, fire, Vethros commanded. 10,000 weapons fired as one. Plasma cannons, laser batteries, missile systems, gravitational disruptors. The combined firepower could have destroyed entire fleets. The space between the Armada and the Devourer lit up brighter than a sun. The light faded. The creature continued forward, completely unharmed. Not a single mark on its hide. Second wave, close assault, ships broke formation, racing toward the Devourer. They fired at point-blank range. Some even attempted to ram it. Hyunwoo watched in horror as vessels exploded or simply disappeared when they touched the creature's body. Third wave, experimental weapons. The Council unleashed weapons that bent space-time, collapsed dimensions, and tore holes in reality itself. For a moment, the Devourer seemed to pause. Then it continued forward, now moving faster, as if annoyed. All ships, retreat. Vethros ordered. The fleet scattered. The Devourer ignored them completely. It had a destination in mind. Traxxas system. 14 billion lives. Nothing could stop it. Hyunwoo sat in his captain's chair, mind racing. Somewhere in his memory, something nagged at him. A story he had heard long ago. About the early days of human space exploration. About something strange near Neptune. Daun, he called. Search the archives. Look for any record of humans encountering unknown cosmic entities, especially anything from before we joined the Council. Captain? We're supposed to be retreating. Just do it. I have an idea. The galactic fleet fled in chaos. Ships collided in their panic to escape. Some captains abandoned their positions entirely, jumping to hyperspace without waiting for orders. Commander Vethros tried to maintain control, but fear had shattered the unified front. Within hours, half the assembled armada had scattered across the galaxy. The Devourer continued its path toward Trax's system, slow and unstoppable. Hyunwoo kept the Meridian Dawn at a safe distance, following the creature while his crew searched the archives. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft beeping of instruments and Daun's frustrated muttering as she sorted through centuries of data. "Captain, the Council is ordering all remaining ships to assist with evacuation efforts," Jaewon reported. "Traxus is trying to move 14 billion people off-world. They need every transport vessel available. Tell them we'll help as soon as we can," Hyunwoo said, not taking his eyes off the Devourer's image on the main screen. Taeyang looked up from his weapons console. "Captain, with respect, shouldn't we be evacuating people instead of watching this thing?" "We can't fight it. I don't want to fight it," Hyunwoo said softly. "I want to understand it." Sujin joined the conversation from engineering. "Understand it how? It's a planet-eating monster, is it?" Hyunwoo leaned forward in his chair. "Or is it something else? Something we're misunderstanding?" Daun made a sound of triumph. "Captain, I found something. It's buried deep in the old Earth Space Agency files. Marked classified. From before we joined the Council. Show me." The main screen shifted from the Devourer to a document dated 230 years ago. The report described an encounter near Neptune during one of humanity's first deep system explorations. A small research vessel captained by a man named Jihu had detected an anomaly. Daun read the report aloud. Jihu and his crew of 4 encountered an unknown entity. They described it as beautiful and terrifying. The creature approached their ship, and Jihu decided to put on a pressure suit and go outside to meet it. Everyone thought he was crazy. "Ah, sounds familiar," Jaewon muttered, glancing at Hyunwoo. The entity wrapped around Jihu. Daun continued. The crew prepared to retrieve his body, but he was still alive, still conscious. He reported feeling warmth and curiosity from the creature. They stayed connected for 3 hours. Then the entity released him and disappeared into deep space. Jihu was completely unharmed. Hyunwoo sat up straighter. What happened after? The report was classified, marked as an isolated incident. The Earth government didn't want to cause panic about unknown space creatures. Jihu was debriefed and sworn to secrecy. He died 20 years later, of natural causes. "Show me the images from that encounter." Daun pulled up the attached photographs. Grainy and old, but clear enough. The creature in those images looked similar to the Devourer, just much smaller. Maybe the size of a shuttle, instead of a moon. "That could be a juvenile," Daun said, her voice filled with scientific excitement. "Captain, what if the Devourer is an adult version of the same species? What if these creatures have a natural life cycle we don't understand?" Hyunwoo stood and began pacing. His crew watched him think. A process they had seen many times before. Their captain was at his best when solving puzzles. "Why did that creature approach Jihu?" Hyunwoo asked. "Unknown," Da-eun admitted, "but it approached a human specifically. Out of all the things in our solar system, it chose to interact with a human being. Why? Maybe we taste good?" Taeyang suggested darkly. "No. If it wanted to eat Jihu, it would have. Instead, it wrapped around him and stayed there for 3 hours. Then, left, without harming him." Hyunwoo stopped pacing. What if it was seeking something? Contact? Comfort? Comfort? Sujin sounded doubtful. From a human? Why not? Hyunwoo pulled up the Devourer's path on the screen. Look at its movement pattern. It's not hunting efficiently. It's not choosing the closest planets or the most resource-rich ones. It seems almost random. Desperate, Daun started running new analysis on the Devourer's behavior. Captain, I'm picking up strange readings from the creature. Neural activity patterns. They're erratic. Stressed. Can you be more specific? It's hard to interpret alien biology, especially something this ancient. But if I had to compare it to patterns we understand, the Devourer seems agitated, restless, like someone who hasn't slept in a very long time. The pieces clicked together in Hyunwoo's mind. It's exhausted. It's been awake for who knows how long, destroying planets, but not because it wants to. Because it can't rest. It can't sleep. That's a big assumption, J1 warned. Is it? Think about it. What do tired creatures do? They search for a place to rest. They get irritable. They lash out. The Devourer isn't a mindless destroyer. It's suffering. Even if you're right, Taeyang said. What can we do about it? We can't exactly tuck it into bed. Hyunwoo smiled grimly. Maybe we can. The crew stared at him. You're serious, Sujin said. You want to help it sleep. I want to try. If that juvenile entity sought out Ji-hoo for 3 hours, maybe adult members of their species need the same thing. Maybe they need contact with living beings to rest. Maybe they used to have symbiotic relationships with other creatures, and those relationships were lost millions of years ago. That's completely theoretical, Daun protested, though her eyes showed interest. Everything about this situation is theoretical. But we know attacking doesn't work. We know running won't save Traxxas. We need to try something different. Hyunwoo turned to J1. Open a channel to Commander Vethros. The crystalline commander appeared on screen, his form flickering with stress. Behind him, the command center was in chaos. Captain Hyunwoo. If you're calling to request evacuation support, I'm calling to request permission to approach the Devourer, sir. The chaos in the background stopped. Every being in the command center turned to look at the transmission. Approach it? Vethros's voice chimed with disbelief. Are you requesting a suicide mission? No, sir. I'm requesting permission to attempt first contact. Real first contact. Not with weapons, but with peaceful intention. Captain, we tried communication. You tried talking at it. I want to try something else. Something humans are uniquely good at. Which is? Making friends with things we shouldn't. Several alien species in the command center made sounds of confusion. The concept didn't translate well. Hyunwoo explained his theory quickly. The encounter with Ji-hoo. The behavioral patterns suggesting exhaustion. The possibility that the Devourer needed help, not death. This is insanity, Avrelian commander said. You'll be killed instantly. Maybe. But, right now, 14 billion people are trying to evacuate Traxxas, and you know they won't make it in time. If there's even a small chance my theory is correct, don't we have to try? Vethros was silent for a long moment. His crystalline body pulsed with deep thought. How would you even attempt this contact? I need to get close. Very close. Close enough for the Devourer to notice me as something other than background noise. And then I see if it responds the way that Juvenile responded to Ji-hoo. If it does, I try to help it find rest. You're betting the survival of Traxxas on a 200-year-old report about a single encounter? I'm betting on humanity's weird ability to befriend anything, even cosmic monsters. More silence. Then Vethros spoke slowly. The Council will continue evacuation efforts. You have 72 hours. If the Devourer continues toward Traxxas after that time, we will initiate Protocol Ultima. What's Protocol Ultima? We collapse the Andros star cluster. Create a gravitational trap that nothing can escape, including the Devourer, and including Traxxas system. Hyunwoo felt ice in his stomach. You'll kill everything in an entire star cluster? Better one cluster than the whole galaxy. You have 72 hours, Captain. Make them count. The transmission ended. Hyunwoo turned to his crew. Their faces showed fear, doubt, but also something else. Trust. They had followed him through dangerous situations before. They would follow him now. Volunteers only, Hyunwoo said. Anyone who wants to transfer to another ship can do so. No judgment. No one moved. All right then, Hyunwoo said. Hyunwoo stripped the mission down to essentials. 3 people only. Himself, Da-eun to monitor the creature's biological responses, and Yeon-soo, the best pilot humanity had produced in the last decade. They would take a small shuttle, unarmed, and approach the devourer with nothing but hope and theory. The rest of the crew protested loudly. You need security, Tae-young argued. At least let me come. If weapons couldn't stop it, security won't help, Hyunwoo said gently. Jae-won pulled him aside before he left the Meridian Dawn. If this goes wrong, if you don't come back, I'm authorized to take command? You're authorized. Get the crew to safety. Don't wait for us. I'll wait as long as I can. The 2 men clasped hands. No more words were needed. The shuttle undocked in silence. Yeon-soo guided them away from the fleet, toward the massive shape of the devourer ahead. The creature had stopped near a dead planet, one it had already consumed. Now it floated in space, pulsing slowly, like a heart beating between dimensions. Beginning approach vector, Yeon-soo announced. Her hands were steady on the controls, but Hyunwoo could see tension in her shoulders. Time to intercept. 40 minutes. Da-eun set up her monitoring equipment in the shuttle's small cargo area. Screens filled with data streams, showing the devourer's energy signatures, neural patterns, and dimensional fluctuations. Its stress readings are off the charts, Da-eun reported. Whatever this thing is, it's not at peace. The shuttle flew through debris fields left by consumed worlds. Chunks of crystallized matter drifted past, all that remained of mountains and oceans and cities. Some pieces were as large as buildings. Yeon-soo navigated carefully, avoiding collisions. 20 minutes to intercept, she said. Hyunwoo activated the shuttle's communications array, broadcasting on all frequencies. He didn't expect the devourer to understand words, but maybe intent could cross the void. Unknown entity, this is Captain Hyunwoo of Earth. We mean you no harm. We come seeking understanding. We want to help. He repeated the message in several languages, then in mathematical sequences, then in pure emotional tones. Anything that might translate across the gap between human and cosmic being. The devourer didn't respond. 10 minutes, Yeon-soo said. Its mass is distorting local space. I'm compensating, but this is going to get rough. The shuttle began to shake. Gravity pulled in impossible directions. Hyunwoo's stomach lurched, as up and down became meaningless. Da-eun grabbed her equipment to keep it from flying around the cargo area. 5 minutes. Captain, we're entering its immediate field. If it decides to feed, we won't be able to escape. Steady on, Hyunwoo said, surprising himself with how calm he sounded. Then the devourer moved. For the first time since awakening, it stopped its slow drift and turned its attention to something smaller than a planet. The creature's massive form shifted, and something like an eye opened. It wasn't a real eye, more like a window into colors that shouldn't exist, swirling patterns that hurt to look at directly. It sees us, Da-eun whispered. Neural activity is spiking. It's focusing on our shuttle. Full stop, Hyunwoo ordered. Yeon-soo killed the engines. The shuttle drifted in space, tiny and helpless before the vast presence of the devourer. Hyunwoo felt sweat running down his face. Every instinct screamed at him to run. Evolution had hardwired fear of predators into human DNA. And this thing was the ultimate predator. But he also felt something else. A pull, like the devourer was curious. I'm going outside, Hyunwoo announced. Captain, no. Da-eun grabbed his arm. We don't know if it's safe. Nothing about this is safe. But Ji-hoo went outside. That's when the juvenile made contact. I have to try. He pulled on his pressure suit, checking seals and oxygen levels. The suit would protect him from vacuum and radiation. But against the Devourer, it was basically paper armor. Still, it was all he had. Keep monitoring everything, he told Daun. If I signal distress, you and Yon-Su jump to hyperspace immediately. Get back to the fleet. Tell them what we learned. And if you don't signal distress? Yon-Su asked. Then maybe we're about to make history. Hyun-Woo cycled through the airlock and floated out into space. The Devourer filled his vision. Up close, its true scale became apparent. It wasn't just large. It existed in multiple dimensions at once. Parts of it were in normal space, but parts phased in and out of reality. Sometimes, he could see through it to the stars beyond. Sometimes it was so solid that it blocked out everything. He activated his suit jets and floated slowly toward the creature. Every meter felt like a kilometer. His breathing sounded loud in his helmet. His heart pounded. He couldn't die here. He had to succeed. IT. Billions of lives depended on it. But more than that, he believed the Devourer itself needed help, needed kindness. And if there was one thing humans were good at, it was offering kindness to creatures that probably didn't deserve it. Hello, Hyun-Woo said, knowing the Devourer probably couldn't hear. I know you're tired. I know you can't rest. I want to help you. If you'll let me. The creature's eye window focused on him. Colors swirled faster. Hyun-Woo felt pressure building around him. Not physical pressure, but something else. Like the Devourer was examining his mind, his soul, everything that made him human. Then, something incredible happened. A portion of the Devourer's massive body extended toward him. It moved slowly, almost gently. The appendage was still impossibly large, easily the size of a city block, but compared to the whole creature, it was practically delicate. Captain, get out of there. Daun's voice crackled in his helmet. It's reaching for you. Aff. I know. I'm staying. Hyun-Woo, please, trust me. The appendage touched him. Warmth flooded through Hyun-Woo's body. Not burning heat, but the warmth of connection, of recognition. The Devourer's presence filled his mind, and suddenly, he wasn't floating in cold space anymore. He was somewhere else. Everywhere else. He saw galaxies being born, stars collapsing into black holes, civilizations rising and falling across millions of years. He saw the Devourer when it was young, one of thousands of its kind, living in harmony with other cosmic entities. They would rest in special places, dimensional pockets where physical matter and energy could provide comfort. They were gardeners of reality, maintaining balance between dimensions. Then he saw the war, species fighting over those dimensional pockets. The creatures like the Devourer, caught in the middle, their resting places destroyed, their companions killed. The Devourer fled, alone, the last of its kind. For millions of years it searched for anywhere it could rest, but the dimensional pockets were gone. Regular space didn't have the right properties. The creature grew desperate, exhausted beyond measure. It started feeding on planets, trying to create enough gravitational weight to simulate its old resting places. Nothing worked. It couldn't sleep, couldn't rest, couldn't die. It was so tired. Hyun-Woo felt tears on his face. This wasn't a monster. It was a refugee, a survivor of ancient wars, suffering alone in the vast darkness, unable to find peace. I understand, Hyun-Woo whispered. I'm sorry. The connection broke. Hyun-Woo gasped, suddenly back in his own body, floating in space. The Devourer's appendage still touched him, but gently now, almost tenderly. Captain, Yon-Su's voice. Your vital signs went crazy. Are you alive? I'm alive, Hyun-Woo said, and I know what it needs. What? Connection, living warmth, the thing it found with Jihu all those years ago, the thing its species used to have before the war. It needs to feel less alone. Daun's voice was thick with emotion. Can we give it that? We can try. Get me back to the shuttle. I need to contact the fleet. The Devourer's appendage released him slowly. Hyun Woo floated back to the shuttle, looking back at the massive creature. It watched him go with that impossible eye, and he thought he felt sadness radiating from it. Inside the shuttle, Hyun Woo immediately opened communication to Commander Vethros and broadcast his message fleet-wide. Every species in the galaxy needed to hear this. The Devourer isn't our enemy, he began. It's a victim. And I think I know how to help it. The transmission reached every corner of the galaxy. Billions watched and listened as Hyun Woo explained what he had experienced in his connection with the Devourer. He described the ancient war, the destroyed resting places, the millions of years of exhaustion. He spoke with passion and urgency, asking the galaxy to see the creature not as a destroyer, but as someone suffering. The responses came quickly, and most were not kind. Impossible, said Avrelian Commander. This creature has killed trillions across its lifetime. You're asking us to sympathize with genocide? It wasn't trying to kill anyone, Hyun Woo argued. It was trying to survive, trying to find rest. Yes, planets were destroyed, but not out of malice, out of desperation. The difference means nothing to the dead, another voice said. Commander Vethros listened to all arguments before speaking. Captain Hyun Woo, I don't doubt your sincerity, but even if your interpretation is correct, what do you propose we do? We cannot recreate dimensional pockets. We don't have that technology. We don't need to, Hyun Woo said. When that juvenile entity encountered Jihu, it found comfort in simple physical contact with a living being. It rested against him for 3 hours, then left peacefully. The Devourer needs the same thing. You want us to cuddle a planet eater? The Vrelian's translator struggled with the concept. I want to give it a chance to finally rest, and I think humans can do it. Silence fell across the transmission. Every species knew humans were strange. They formed emotional bonds with their food animals before eating them. They kept predators as pets. They cried over fictional characters. Their ability to empathize with anything was both their greatest weakness and their most confusing strength. You're talking about sustained contact, Da-un said, broadcasting from the shuttle. One human wasn't enough for the juvenile. It needed Jihu for 3 hours. The Devourer is thousands of times larger. It would need many humans, maybe for days or weeks. Then we get many humans, Hyun Woo said simply. How many? Vethros asked. I don't know. Hundreds? We experiment. We try. We adjust. But we have to start somewhere. A new voice entered the transmission. Min Seo, the medical officer from the Meridian Dawn. Captain, I've been reviewing human physiological responses to the report from Jihu's encounter. There's something interesting. His vital signs during contact showed patterns similar to deep meditation or the calm presence people feel when comforting others. If we select volunteers carefully, humans could potentially sustain this contact for extended periods. Volunteers, Vethros repeated. You want to ask humans to serve as living beds for this creature? Yes. And you think you'll find enough humans willing to do this? Commander, I think I'll be overwhelmed with volunteers. Hyun Woo was right. Within 6 hours of broadcasting his call, over 10,000 humans responded. They came from colony worlds, from deep space stations, from Earth itself. Soldiers volunteered. Scientists, teachers, parents, artists, farmers, humans from every walk of life, all willing to try something unprecedented. The messages flooded in faster than anyone could process them. I'm a nurse. I know how to make people comfortable. Let me help. My grandmother always said we're at our best when caring for others. Count me in. This sounds insane, and I'm absolutely doing it. If this thing just needs a nap, hell, I take great naps. I volunteer. The galactic community watched in confusion and wonder. What kind of species volunteered to be in physical contact with something that had destroyed worlds? Hyun-woo worked with his crew and council psychologists to develop selection criteria. They needed people with specific traits: high empathy, calm under stress, the ability to remain still for long periods, experience with meditation or deep relaxation, and, critically, the willingness to potentially die if the experiment failed. From 10,000 volunteers, they narrowed it down to 500 candidates. From there, to 100 finalists. Each was interviewed, tested, and evaluated. Hyun-woo spoke with many of them personally. One was Ji-woo, a therapist who specialized in helping deep space workers deal with isolation. "I've spent my career helping people feel less alone," she said during her interview. "If I can do that for the Devourer, I should." Another was Dong-woo, a veteran who had served in humanity's early exploration conflicts. "I've seen enough fighting. If we can end this with kindness instead of weapons, that's a battle worth choosing." Min-ah, a musician, had a different reason. "Music is about creating harmony. Maybe we can be harmony for this creature." Every volunteer had their own motivation, but all shared something fundamental. They believed that even cosmic entities deserved compassion. While volunteers prepared, Soo-jin worked with engineers from across the fleet to design what they called the Cradle. It was a massive platform that could be constructed in space, large enough to accommodate 100 humans, and strong enough to support whatever portion of the Devourer's mass would rest upon it. The design was simple but elegant. Individual stations for each human, with environmental suits that could sustain life while allowing maximum physical contact. The platform would be equipped with sensors to monitor both human and Devourer vital signs, allowing adjustments as needed. Construction took 48 hours. Hundreds of ships contributed materials. Even species that doubted the plan's success helped build it. Perhaps they wanted it to work. Perhaps they just wanted to see what would happen when humans tried to befriend a god. During construction, Hyun-woo returned to the Devourer 3 more times. Each visit, he spent time in contact with the creature, learning its patterns, its needs. The Devourer seemed to recognize him now. Its aggression faded when he approached. Once, it even reached for him first, as if seeking comfort. "It's like a child who can't sleep," Hyun-woo told his crew after the 3rd visit, exhausted but unable to rest. "Every time I connect with it, I feel its desperation growing. We're running out of time." The Devourer had stopped moving toward Traxxas, at least temporarily. But stress readings showed it was becoming more agitated. Soon, it would resume feeding unless something changed. On the 3rd day, the cradle was complete. The 100 volunteers assembled, each wearing specially designed environmental suits. Ji-woo was chosen as the coordinator, responsible for guiding the group through the process. Hyun-woo addressed them before they took their positions. They gathered in the shuttle bay of the command station, faces showing fear and determination in equal measure. "What you're about to do has never been attempted," Hyun-woo said. "You're going to provide rest to a being millions of years old, something that has suffered alone for longer than human civilization has existed. I can't promise you'll survive. I can't even promise this will work. But I can promise that if it does work, you'll have saved billions of lives and ended suffering that should have ended long ago." "No pressure then," Dong-woo said, and nervous laughter rippled through the group. "Remember your training," Ji-woo added. "Stay calm. Breathe steadily. Focus on the rhythm we practiced. We're not fighting the Devourer. We're inviting it to rest." The volunteers boarded transport shuttles. The galaxy watched as 100 humans flew toward the cradle, ready to attempt the impossible. Hyun-woo watched from the bridge of the Meridian Dawn. Beside him, Da-eun monitored readings. Jae-won maintained communication with all shuttles. Tae-yang stood ready at weapons, though they all knew weapons would be useless if this failed. "Volunteers are in position," Ji-woo reported. "Cradle systems are nominal. We're ready. Contact the Devourer," Hyun-woo ordered. The message went out. Not in words, but in simple emotional tones. An invitation, a promise of rest, a offer of warmth in the cold void. The devourer turned its attention toward the cradle. The 100 humans lay on their backs, chests exposed to space, protected only by their environmental suits and their courage. The creature began to move. The devourer approached slowly. For the first time in millions of years, it moved with something other than hunger, driving it. The massive creature flowed through space like living shadow, its form shifting between dimensions as it drew closer to the cradle. On the platform, 100 humans waited. Their hearts beat in nervous rhythm. Breathing exercises kept panic at bay, but fear still touched everyone. They were so small. The devourer was so impossibly vast. Steady, Jiwoo said over the communication channel. Remember, we're not prey. We're offering rest. Project Calm. Easier said than done. But humans had always been good at doing impossible things. They began the breathing pattern they had practiced. Slow inhale. Slow exhale. 100 chests rising and falling in synchronization. The devourer stopped just above the cradle. That terrible eye window opened, examining them. Colors swirled. Reality bent around its presence. Several humans gasped as gravity pulled in wrong directions. Hold position, Jiwoo commanded. Keep breathing. Hyunwoo watched from the meridian dawn, barely breathing himself. This was it. Either humanity's strangest gambit would succeed, or 100 brave people would die in seconds. The devourer extended a portion of its body downward. Not an appendage exactly. More like it was lowering itself carefully, trying not to crush the tiny beings below. The movement was almost gentle. Contact in 10 seconds, Da-un announced. Neural readings from the devourer show. Curiosity? Maybe hope? Hard to interpret. First contact, Jiwoo said. The devourer's mass touched the cradle. Not its full weight. That would have destroyed everything. Instead, it distributed its presence across dimensions, making itself light enough to rest upon the platform while maintaining enough physical contact to feel the humans beneath. Warmth spread through the volunteers. Not burning, but the warmth of connection. Each person felt the creature's presence settling onto them, felt the weight of eons pressing down gently. Report, Hyunwoo said urgently. What's happening? It's incredible. Min-ah, the musician said, her voice filled with wonder. I can feel it. It's exhaustion. It's loneliness. Captain, it's so tired. All volunteers, maintaining stable vitals, Minseo reported from medical monitoring. No signs of distress. The devourer's mass is perfectly distributed. However, it's doing this. It's being careful not to harm them. It doesn't want to hurt us, Jiwoo said. It just wants to rest. The volunteers continued their breathing pattern. Rise and fall. Rise and fall. 100 human chests moving in gentle rhythm. The devourer responded to this motion. Its own energy patterns began to slow, matching the calm pace of human breathing. Neural activity is changing, Da-un said excitedly. The stress patterns are decreasing. It's working. It's actually working. Da-un. Hours passed. The volunteers maintained their rhythm, taking turns speaking quietly to the creature, offering comfort through words, even if the devourer couldn't understand language. They spoke about home, about rest, about the beauty of sleep and dreams. Dongwoo, the veteran, told stories about camping under Earth's stars as a child. Min-ah hummed lullabies her mother had sung to her. Jiwoo simply breathed and projected calm, using every technique she had learned, helping traumatized people find peace. The galaxy watched. Billions of beings across thousands of worlds saw humans doing what they did best, making the incomprehensible comfortable, making the terrible feel safe. On the second day, the devourer's dimensional shifting stabilized. It was no longer phasing in and out of reality. It was present, solid, resting. Look at the readings, Daun whispered. Its destructive impulses are fading. Whatever drives it to consume planets, it's quieting. Because it finally has what it needed, Hyunwoo said. Connection, comfort, rest. More volunteers arrived. The original 100 were exhausted, though they insisted they could continue. Hyunwoo ordered rotation shifts. Fresh humans took positions on the cradle, while others rested. The Devourer accepted the changes without agitation. By the third day, something remarkable happened. The Devourer slept, not just resting, true, deep sleep. Its neural patterns showed cycles similar to what humans experience during REM sleep. Dreams. Perhaps, for the first time in millions of years, the creature that ate planets was dreaming. The sleep is getting deeper, Minseo reported. Its body is beginning healing processes. I'm detecting repairs at a cellular level, or whatever passes for cellular, in something this ancient. It was sick, Hyunwoo realized. The exhaustion damaged it. Now it's healing. The volunteers felt the change too. The desperate, grasping quality of the Devourer's presence faded. What remained was something almost peaceful, almost content. Weeks passed. A permanent station grew around the cradle as more humans volunteered for what they now called the Vigil. The rotation expanded to 500 volunteers, ensuring no one became too exhausted. Humans came from across the galaxy, eager to help. The Devourer slept on. Sometimes it shifted slightly, requiring adjustments. The volunteers learned to read its movements, understanding when it needed more contact in certain areas or when its dimensional presence needed rebalancing. They became experts in caring for a god. The galactic community struggled to understand. They had expected violence, expected destruction. Instead, they witnessed something that challenged everything they thought they knew about survival and strength. They're just lying there, a Vrelian observer said, watching the feed. Those humans are just providing warmth and presence. Yes, Commander Vethros replied. His crystalline body chimed thoughtfully. Humans call it being there for someone. It's apparently very important to them. But why volunteer for this? What do they gain? I asked one of them that. She said they gain the knowledge that someone who was suffering is now at peace. That seemed to be enough reward. Scientists studied the Devourer constantly. They discovered that as it healed, its body actually shrank. Not dramatically, but noticeably. As if the creature had been swollen with distress, and rest allowed it to return to its natural size. Dayun published papers about the creature's biology. Other xenobiologists contributed findings. Together, they pieced together a picture of the Devourer's species. They had been dimensional gardeners, maintaining balance between realities. They were naturally gentle. Despite their size, the war that destroyed them had been started by other species fighting over the resources the gardeners protected. We killed them, Hyunwoo said quietly when he read the reports. Not us specifically, but the galaxy. Other civilizations destroyed these creatures and took their resting places. The Devourer isn't a monster we need to defeat. It's a survivor of our own past mistakes. This realization spread through the council. Guilt joined wonder. The Devourer had every right to hate them, to destroy everything. Instead, it just wanted to sleep. On the 50th day of the vigil, Ji-woo reported something new. The Devourer is dreaming more actively. Its energy patterns show complex emotional responses. I think it's processing millions of years of trauma. That's good, right? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, but it means when it wakes up, it will be different. Changed. We don't know what that means. We'll find out together. Months passed. The vigil became permanent. Humans rotated through, serving weeks or months before returning to their regular lives. They brought stories, songs, and comfort. Some read books to the sleeping creature, others played music. Many just breathed and offered their presence. The devourer's sleep deepened further. Scientists detected something incredible. New growth. The creature was developing structures it hadn't possessed before, organs that might allow it to process different types of energy, possibly meaning it wouldn't need to consume planets anymore. It's adapting, Daun said. Evolution in real time. Or maybe it's returning to what it was before the war forced it to change. In the galactic community, something shifted. Species that had feared and hated the devourer began to see it differently. Some sent resources to help maintain the vigil. Others created art, honoring the humans who kept watch. A few even asked if their own people could join the rotation. Hyunwoo approved carefully. The connection seemed to work best with humans, but having other species present created a sense of galactic unity. The vigil became a symbol, not of human superiority, but of what could be accomplished through compassion instead of violence. 1 year after the vigil began, Ji-woo contacted Hyunwoo urgently. He arrived to find the volunteers calm but alert. The devourer was stirring. Not waking yet, but shifting in its sleep like someone about to wake from a long rest. Is it time? Hyunwoo asked. Soon, Ji-woo said. Maybe days, maybe hours. We'll stay with it until it's ready. Hyunwoo joined the volunteers on the cradle. He lay down in an open position, feeling the warm presence of the devourer above and around him. The creature's heartbeat, slow and vast, thrummed through his body. He spoke quietly, adding his voice to the chorus of comfort. You're safe now. You've rested. When you wake, you won't be alone. We'll be here. We promise. The devourer's presence pulsed with what might have been gratitude, or perhaps that was just Hyunwoo's imagination. It didn't matter. They would keep their vigil until the creature was ready to face the universe again. Across the galaxy, beings watched and waited. The creature that once brought destruction now represented hope. Hope that suffering could end. Hope that even the most terrifying beings deserved compassion. Hope that humans, strange little humans, had taught them something vital about the universe. Hyunwoo smiled up at the devourer. Sleep well, friend. We've got you. And in the cold void of space, warmed by human presence and human kindness, the creature that ate planets slept peacefully, at last.